Heyo.
Hey. Hey, how's it going, Cajun?
It's going good. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm sitting here. I got my tea, and
Nice.
I'm ready to get a show started. How about you?
I'm good. I've got my think blue Powerade and my defythepower.com.
Nice. The stitches and glitches thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. I need to
Yeah,
order one.
I got that one in Tunica. Uh I got that in Tunica.
Nice. Well, folks, if you're just joining us, let me go over some of the headlines we'll be going over today. So, an insane amount of snowfall in Alaska, which normally that wouldn't make the news, but we're talking insane amounts by Alaskan standards of snowfall. And then also, the federal government is renewing its efforts in overreaching and controlling Alaskans. Big shocker there. And then
Hmm.
also, the trucking industry is apparently exempt from the new mandates and a rare tragedy in hockey rink in Canada. So stay tuned, folks.
We'll be right back on the Cajun Eskimo show. Sweet. We are back with a packed episode, and you too can get packed or have it packed to you. Whatever you need for your weed at Cumberland Cannabis Company. Viable, ethical, and effective right out of Tennessee. Check them out. Everything you need from CBD to everything else that they have that could help with all of your medical issues in a very organic and healthy way. Check out Cumberland Cannabis Company. Viable, ethical, and effective.
Whatever you need for your weed.
I don't know.
All
I
right,
just
Dr.
noticed
Seuss.
something. That'll work. Yeah, that'll work.
Awesome. Something that
Yeah.
doesn't quite rhyme. I got to figure out a rhyme for this guy. Joe Solosky. He is running for Pennsylvania governor. He is the key to Pennsylvania's success, and he could quite possibly be the first libertarian governor the US has ever seen. And I have a lot of faith in it, especially after how the election went this past week. Go ahead and check out Joe Solosky, give him some support, check out his platform. He is the key to Pennsylvania's success.
Joe Solosky is the key. There you go. And Nicole Schultz is the key to Joe Solosky's success, if you didn't know.
Yes, that's
There you
his
go.
lieutenant governor candidate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Some states they have like a joint ticket, and some states they have to be voted in separately. So I didn't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they running jointly. Right. Yeah, the one of the in Tuesday's election that was separate. So that was the man, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time forgetting her name. She's the first black woman to get elected to a state house up there in Virginia.
oh,
She won lieutenant governor, and then another guy won attorney general. So yeah, they're all
yeah.
separate.
Yeah, that's super cool. I was actually watching some interviews with her, and it was really cool seeing that.
Yeah, she's very interesting and very passionate. I like her. I like her style a lot. And of course, I'm like a lot of people that are standing there in their politics picture, their politician's picture with an AR and a dress. That's always fantastic.
As long as they're having good trigger discipline,
Oh
makes
yeah,
me
she's a
happy.
former Marine.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's really
Former
cool.
Marine. Yeah, she's cool.
Nice. Awesome.
So
She's not even
far,
from the US too, right? She's
no,
from
she's
like
from
Nigeria
Jamaica.
or Jamaica. Yeah.
Yeah, she's from Jamaica. Yep.
Well, that's
Yeah, she's
just
very interesting person.
awesome. So, like
Yep.
an unofficial first segment for our show, folks.
Right. Right.
That is
And now
super
to our
cool.
headlines. Yeah.
So, it snowed in Alaska, which normally wouldn't be a headline because I've been saying it's been snowing here for weeks. But Alaska got potentially 28 feet of snow, not inches, feet of snow. So the Chugach Range Mountains, that's actually the mountain range that's like right next to me pretty much. It's all around. I'm in the Chugach Range of mountains. So they may have seen as much as 28 feet of snow in 3 days. And so, according to
Wow.
forecasts that they had, like, they had the Doppler and everything, and like, oh, and it's all color coded and everything. The Mount Marcus Baker, which is at 13,176 feet, they were forecasted to get 28.7 feet of snow over the course of 3 days. Like if you look at the colors, the color scheme that they had going on, I mean, they were reaching the colors that you never see in terms of
Wow.
precipitation. It's insane. So unfortunately, there were no mountain gauges in that area, so we'll never know for sure if it reached exactly, that many feet. But I know in Girdwood it got like 17.7 inches of rain. So there's like places around it that had gauges going that could like hint that, yeah, that much snowfall happened, but we don't have like an official reading or anything. But they described it as being pounded by an atmospheric river. There was so much precipitation and stuff in the atmosphere that they described it as a river in the sky. Oh,
That's incredible.
insane. 28.7 feet of snow in 3 days.
You know what happens down here when we get like 20 inches of rain in the span of like 12 hours, 14 hours? It
New
floods
Orleans
and
goes,
people die. Like
yeah,
literally, people die, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are homeless.
yes. I imagine if we
It's
had that much of
crazy.
a population density, there weren't enough people in the areas to actually be affected by this, but there were bridges that were washed out. There were lots of landslides. Um, there was like flash flood warnings that I've
Yeah,
never seen before. Like I've never heard of like flash flood warnings in Alaska. It's
it is
insane. So, yeah,
insane.
we're getting weird weather up here, and it's kind of predicted that this winter is going to be a lot of snow, or at least a lot of precipitation. So,
We always have wet winters. That's the worst part about our winters. It's about 50, 55 degrees, but it rains most of the time. So everything's always wet. Sucks. But I would rather that than a foot of snow. So you
let
can
alone
keep the 28
28
feet.
feet. That's insane.
Yeah,
So now you can see why I just wanted to tell you folks about this.
that's incredible. Ours has been very, very standard. So, but that is very cool sounding. I'm glad it's there and not here.
Right. Speaking of things that are here, not there, the federal government is deciding to it's renewing its efforts to control Alaska. And what I mean by that is there is this order, which is WSA 2101, or the Wildlife Special Action Request 2101. And keep in mind, DC is thousands of miles away, but they always insist on knowing how to conserve Alaska better than Alaskans and our own scientists and the people up here, and hunters and fishermen. It's always been a struggle. So this WSA 2101, pretty much it's going to close millions of acres of land to moose and caribou hunts. So it's 60 million acres, roughly. I mean, when you're dealing with that many millions of acres, you can just guess to me it's about 60 million acres of federal land in units 23 and 26A. So not all of 26, but it's 26A. It's closed to non local hunters, including Alaska residents who aren't federally qualified subsistence users for that area. So you have to like be living in that area and considered federally considered as a subsistence user. So I don't live in those areas, so I would fall under the not qualified to hunt there. So originally, this was introduced back in April by the Department of the Interior. And there was public testimony, and it was overwhelmingly in opposition to this. So Alaskans, biologists, Alaska Department of Fish and Game employees, and they're like, no, don't do this. You really shouldn't do this. And people were calling in and they were flooding them with emails against this. Just everyone was getting involved. Really proud of all of those that got involved. Good job, guys. So on June 16th, the Federal Subsistence Board decided to defer the issue. So they're like, okay, well, fine. We'll just not do this then. And it was cited inadequate support and data to pass the measure. So this year, it didn't affect us. Woo, we got to hunt moose and caribou, and everyone was all happy. Woohoo! So now the Department of Interior announced another telephone meeting to receive public input on WSA 2101 on November 17th. And so pretty much they're like renewing it so that it'll be for next year. They're going to close down this hunting of moose and caribou. So they're like pretty much bringing it up again, like, hey, we're going to close it again. So even though last time there was like this overwhelming outcry of no, don't do it, it's important that every time we have just as much enthusiasm against this to show them every single time that they try to do this, we're going to be like, no.
Yep.
Very important. Even though you testified last time, you got to do it again.
Yep.
So that's why I'm bringing it up. They're calling for more public testimony, and it's crucial that we give our opinions every time with just as much vigor. So it's going to be Wednesday, November 17th. And it's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m. Alaska time. I'll be posting about it as many times as I can, reminding folks that, hey, you should call this number. If you guys have a pen or if you want to like pause this or watch this again later, that number that you can call is 888-942-9690. That's 888-942-9690. There's going to be a passcode. So you have to write a passcode that's 607-1806. 607-1806, and nothing has changed about the measure for this go around again. So they haven't changed anything in it. It's not, reduce of restrictions or increase of restrictions, the exact same thing, except it's for the 2022 season. And that season's August 1st through September 30th. They're talking about for 2022. And yeah, I really wanted to let folks know about that. I'll be posting about it and sharing it to all my hunting groups and telling all my friends, like, hey,
Like
you
Randy?
guys should. Oh my God. All my
Sorry.
Texas friends.
Yeah, Randy needs that information.
You know what? If Randy's willing to call and testify on behalf of Alaskans, okay, sure, let him call. Because I'm against it. And this is what the Alaskan people want. If you want to represent Alaska, jump on board, buddy, and help us out with this.
Yeah. So I
One more voice.
have a two-part question for you. Number one, I think didn't you say that you are you don't live in the area, so that makes you ineligible. Number two, is it around 50 feet that you're out of the area, or is it too soon for that joke?
Oh my God.
I
Oh,
couldn't
my
help it.
heart.
I'm sorry. I
So,
couldn't help it.
for those that don't know, I wanted to run for city council. I wanted to run as a libertarian for city council, but I live like 50 feet outside of city limits. Ugh, you cut me
Yeah,
deep. You cut me deep.
it was a it's a pretty big shock.
It's more than 50 feet.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking way up in the Arctic, actually, of Alaska, is what we're talking about. So I bring it up, and it doesn't affect too many people, but the fact is, the federal government keeps trying to do stuff like this, like multiple times over, in multiple different areas of Alaska. In fact, they passed something similar to this in Unit 13, which is really close to me, actually, more than 50 feet. but it's close enough to me. So they passed like a similar thing. They've already passed one, and they're continuing to try and pass these sort of things all across the state. In fact, there's actually something on the books right now. There's a proposal for federal subsistence board to make similar closures in southeast area of Alaska. That's where you get like Juneau and Ketchikan and Sitka area for deer hunters. So we don't have white-tailed deer, we have black-tailed deer, and that's the type of deer hunting we have up here. And so they want to restrict that heavily, kind of like what they want to do with this sort of bill in southeast Alaska. And the Alaska Department of Fish and Game is opposing this. BT dubs. Their biologists are citing that there's already healthy populations and there's low hunting pressure. So the people living here don't want this. Our biologists, our conservationists, like the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, which actually does, a pretty decent job at conservation up here. No one wants this. It's all in DC that people want this. And it's like, why? Like, why are
Yeah.
you doing this? No one wants this. So they just keep trying to do this sort of thing to save Alaska and its wildlife. That's what they're doing too. Yeah, that's what I
It's just
imagine.
like that. It's
Yeah.
exactly like that. Yeah, that seems very odd because, yeah, I don't know. Like up here in Mississippi, a lot of people from other states, because we used to, when I was back home in Louisiana, we used to come over here to hunt. And most people do because there's such an overpopulation of deer that travel the area. Like it's encouraged to come over here and shoot deer because they'll just overpopulate like wild. I would think that might happen to y'all if you don't take care of the land that you're inhabiting, that is part of it.
Right? I mean, we've been here for estimated like 10,000 years, part of the food chain for very much hunter fisherman type folks. And not every place has like a Walmart or like a Kroger or some sort of shopping place to
Right.
get food. So hunting is very essential for us.
That's incredible. And just as always, really they just don't know what they're talking about and trying to do stuff anyway. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand.
Makes them
But at
feel good
least you have a
though.
way that you can. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Or it's money grab, or I don't know. I don't try to even understand these people anymore. Not on everything. I don't get it. Just like I don't understand this guy. Yeah, Casey. RoyalGreen.com. The, the most beautiful man pirate you'll ever see.
Oh my.
Let's go, Brandon. By the way, uh, I forgot to tell you a few minutes ago. Oh, now that's a fantastic joke that you've never heard. I can see Russia from my house. Paul Robbins says many of us were disappointed by that 50 feet, but I am not disappointed to take Jack Casey's face off of the screen. RoyalGreen.com. It's got 3 books now, and they're all very long and not readable, but usable. So get yours today and order it now because everything's slowing down. It may take a while to get to you, and you may need something to burn faster than Amazon can get it. So order it now. Yes.
Go pick it up by jet ski. Go jet ski
Yeah.
out to the
Right.
ships and pick it up.
Have you seen the one of my teammates shared one on my page? It's got the Jack Casey crew. That's hilarious. Jack Sparrow and
Yeah.
the pirates. And it's like going shopping for Christmas this year.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Black
yep,
Friday's gonna be lit.
yep. That's funny. Speaking of, if you're not getting your stuff, hopefully you'll start to get it. I will tell you right now, this is from CNBC. I don't really believe this, but let's read about it anyway. Labor Secretary says most truck drivers are exempt from COVID mandate, handing industry a win. Most truckers are not covered by President Joe Biden's COVID vaccine and testing requirements for private businesses, according to Labor Secretary Marty Walsh. A win for an industry that had warned of potential walkouts that would disrupt already strained supply chains. And I know Stephen in the comment section, I can't flip back and forth real easy because I'm using the same screen. Usually I'm using this one for the StreamYard comments in my MacBook, but it's going to be more difficult, so I apologize for that. But we have several people in the trucking industry here, and Stephen Andrew Witt, I know he is absolutely a trucker right now. So let's see what they really have to say for the reasons, and they all sound like crap until you get to the very back end of it. Biden's vaccine for testing mandate for businesses with 100 or more employees went into effect on Friday. It didn't. This doesn't go into effect till January. After OSHA published the requirements in the Federal Register, businesses have until January 4th to ensure their employees have received the shots required for full vaccination. Who knows what that is definition is going to be in 6 months? That may mean 17 more boosters by then.
Oh
Or not.
God.
I don't know. I'm writing a song about it, though, so it should be hilarious.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I feel like
So,
Piglet. Oh dear.
so it might be the one that gets me permabanned from all of the interwebs. They have until January 4th to ensure that their employees are fully vaccinated. And again, they're very specific by saying have received the shots required for full vaccination. Why they're saying it like that now instead of saying fully vaccinated? Because that's going to change. Everyone knows that. That's why they didn't say double vaxxed, which is full vaxxed, because very soon, if you're double vaxxed, you will not be fully vaxxed. After that date, workers who are unvaccinated must submit a weekly negative COVID test to enter the workplace. Unvaccinated workers must wear masks indoors at their workplaces starting December 5th. By the way, from what I understand in the 490-page OSHA regulations report regarding vaccinations, they are doing away with the weekly testing. It is get the jab or kick rocks.
Really?
Now, that's from everything. I've done a little bit on it, and I've heard some people that have dug through all of the 490 pages, and it says that at some certain point, yes, there's no more weekly testing. And it's forever masks in certain areas, vaccinated or not. Biden's vaccine, I mean, okay, got all the way through that. COVID testing in the workplace. I'm vaccinated. Yep. All indications thus far from the Department of Labor suggest this exemption does apply to the commercial truck drivers population. American Trucking Association's president and CEO Chris Spears said on Friday in a statement, hailing the provisions as an enormous victory for our association and industry. He is not happy with this at all. None of it. I like his quotes. He's pretty upset about it. The vaccination and testing requirements would apply to truck drivers who work in teams, i.e., two people in a truck cab, or those who interact with people in buildings at their destinations or starting points. A Labor Department spokesperson told CNBC. As one of my jobs, I show up with truckers there all the time, and we talk. So I don't know about the 12 truckers in the country that don't have to interact with somebody, but they're exempt. What?
Don't talk to each
You
other.
know,
Don't socialize.
yeah. You literally have to report. People check stuff with you. They make sure that the order's right. You have ordered 17 things of X and 27 cases of Y. All right, I'm checking it off to make sure I got what I paid for. You do this together. I don't. What do you? I understand there's different layers of trucking, but this is not an exemption for the vast majority of truckers. Not by that definition. The American Trucking Associations, which pushed back against the mandates to White House officials at the Office of Management and Budget last month, had warned many drivers would quit rather than follow the rules, further disrupting the national supply chain over the holiday season at a time when the industry is already short 80,000 drivers. That's the answer. Okay, thank you. There's the answer. It would be too bad economically. Given the nationwide shortage of truck drivers, it is vital that our industry has the relief it needs to keep critical goods moving, including food, fuel, medicine, and the vaccine itself, Spear said Friday. Despite the exemptions, Spear still criticized the mandate, accusing OSHA of using extraordinary authority unwisely, applying it across all industries at an arbitrary threshold of 100 employees that fails to factor in actual risks. We are weighing all options of recourse to ensure every segment of our industry's workforce is shielded from the unintended consequences of this misguided mandate, Spear said. I also heard on the radio today that maybe this happened today is that Bill de Blasio has blinked and has agreed to extend all of his public workers to make sure that if they're filing for exemptions, that they are fully evaluated and can get them. So they have been pushed back. So two, what seems to be on the surface right now, wins. Very much so. At the end of the day, what matters is they pitched a fit about it, and you can't have all of the truckers walk off the job and a country still run. Technically half the globe, because we supply most of the world's economy. Fact. Here's the other fact. If one person can be exempt, then everyone is exempt. Period. There is no precedent in which we're going, I guess there is because they just did it with essential workers. That doesn't exist. Every worker is essential because it is essential that they collect a paycheck to put food on the table. So I guess there is precedent for it. But again, this isn't scientific at all. And if an entire industry, I say, if one person can be exempt from the mandate, then every single person. This should never be a mandate because that is not how this works. And here's another reason why. As I give you like the second or third Muddy Cajun sports segment that I have a scroll bar running across right there. Yay. This one is not a yay. I apologize. It is a tragic incident, but it is packed with good content. Well, not packed. This is a short segment. So, a fully vaccinated Ontario senior citizen has died after COVID-19 spread through his adult hockey league after first game in 18 months, and all of whom were double vaccinated. Every player there. And 15 people got infected in a 2-day spread. Many people are wondering how 15 fully vaccinated people came down with COVID-19 over 2 separate nights in one facility. And this gets more intense and more of a reason why none of this works. None of what we're doing works. Mandates don't work, specifically. They asked if it could be the kids under 12. Then they talked about maybe it's the touch points in the arena. And they even said, or maybe from the droplets out of the ice. I have a news flash for you. Maybe because it's a virus. That's a possibility. But it's every other reason besides common sense, right? Now, here's where it gets so incredibly stupid. Global News has said the facility uses products included on public health lists to help prevent COVID and that rooms are cleaned between each use. These people have gone through extraordinary measures to prevent this, including every one of them that were infected were double vaccinated. Also, the masks are mandatory at all times except when on the ice. Furnaces are running 24/7 with regularly replaced filters, and that staff are checking people's vaccination status at the door. So everybody's fully vaxxed unless you're under the age of 12. So that's where that's going to wind up. They just keep pushing the mandate further when the mandates haven't worked a bit. They also said that they follow, and they were very loud about this, we follow all public health measures without question to a T. They do everything they're told to do, plus more. and 15 double vaccinated people got infected in a facility where everybody's had to be vaccinated, and everybody has to mask up unless you're on the ice, and everything gets wiped down like a maniac all the time. It's just called Earth. So we have to stop. We have to stop. And there's only one way to stop this. We saw what the trucking industry did. They stood up. They said no. We're seeing what's happening in New York with the fire departments. They're saying no. It's working. Mass noncompliance. Y'all stood up and testified, or made them testify. And they had to push theirs back a year because you're making it more difficult for them. And they weren't allowed to implement it up there in Alaska with your hunting rec. Say no. Do everything mass noncompliance, and we have to do it yesterday. But I removed her instead of that. That was a rare moment of accidental gulagging, and for that I apologize.
Anyways, no, it's
Whoops.
true. And I feel like it gets to the point where there's like, oh, what's the term I'm looking for?
Asinine.
Yeah, a false sense of like security if you're
Was
listening to
right.
your government. And
Yeah.
people think, well, I should have been safe. No. You're following this promise, this empty promise that you're going to be safe if you follow everything to a T. And that's not how it works. And I mean, if it worked like that, we would have gotten rid of the common cold, influenza, and
Right.
other viruses.
Right.
So
And
which
that's
is
one
what
of the
I'd
biggest
say.
reasons I've been saying we need to stop calling this a pandemic and push back every time you hear the word. Because it's not a pandemic. Pandemics end. This is a virus. It is here forever. It's endemic. Now, eventually, over the course of however many years, and a lot of people getting sick, and the fact that our kids are virtually next to no risk, still, that's a fact. I keep hearing this stupid commercial come across my radio. Fact. Children's hospitalizations have tripled since the summer began. Tripled from what? 3 to 6? And still the death toll has not risen. This isn't a thing for them. So when they grow, I assume I was listening to a really good breakdown by Spike and Matt several weeks back, and Spike was saying like over the course of several hundred years, this thing will just turn into the common cold or the flu. Right? I think that we have a chance at it happening sooner than that because the kids don't suffer from it, and they're getting natural immunity, and a lot of people are getting vaccinated, and they're going to grow up and grow out of this. And yes, they'll still get sick. People will rarely get sick and die. Most of the time, hopefully, within the next 100 years, it'll just be like what kids go through now. Extraordinarily rare do they suffer from really adverse reactions unless they're already very severely ill. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm actually just recovering from COVID myself. Not a lot of, well, some folks knew I had COVID, but I had one night, which was, pretty bad, but then the rest of it was a cold. Like one night,
Yeah.
my fever went up to 102.4, took some ibuprofen, slept it off. And I'm not saying everyone has this sort of reaction, but that was just my experience. My husband had a much easier time. My daughter had a significantly easier time than me. And yeah, it was kind of like the colds. And we made sure to take our vitamins. And, um, I was told vitamin D and zinc and
Yep.
vitamin C are some really good ones to be taking, like
Yep.
right now, even when you're healthy. And we were doing that. And then when we got sick, we continued to take those. And now I just drink lots of water and take those vitamins. I'm actually having some oregano tea right now. So,
Yeah, nice. I also heard that Pfizer came out with a pill that's supposed to be 89% effective if you can. It's basically an antiviral pill. Also, stay away from the horse dewormer that Joe Rogan never took. He didn't take it. That is not what Joe Rogan took, and he raked CNN over the coals for it. And for that, Joe Rogan, we thank you because it was glorious.
I should watch that.
Oh man, was it good? Yeah. I mean, it's 3 hours, so really just go and find the good clips of it. But there's a couple of times where he's just like, dude, they lied. They said I was taking horse dewormer. It was glorious. How do you feel about working for a company that out and out lies? He said it right to dude's face. Oh, it was great.
Dang.
Fantastic.
Maybe I can watch it tomorrow. But yeah, my husband's gonna go caribou hunting this weekend. So
Oh, what's going on here? That was not me, I promise. I promise it was not. I tell you who else is not me.
Jonathan Reels. So Jonathan Reels is raising money because he is running for representative of District Number 2 in Alabama. So to help him become a Reels candidate, check out www.jonathan.cash. That's www.jonathan.cash. And I believe Spike was hanging out with them last weekend. They were collecting signatures and stuff like that. And there's that whole thing.
Yeah, I saw some
Super cool.
pictures.
Yeah,
Saw some pictures.
great
Hopefully, we
weekend
get to
there.
see some pictures of some caribou meat here soon. How many are allowed to kill in a year?
Depends on where you go. Depends
Yeah.
on what unit you go to. There's some units you go to, and I'm gonna get this wrong about, but you can get a few
Okay.
a year. Depends on
And
where you
those are
go.
big, so that's a lot of meat.
Yeah, their hearts are like this big. That's my favorite cut of the meat from any animal's the heart. But yeah, their hearts are like a basketball. It's like massive.
Yeah, they're very big creatures. Don't they make a really cool sound when they run? Like their ankles pop or something like that? Their
Yeah,
tendons
there's
pop?
actually a tendon in there, and it's popping. Yeah, like whenever they're walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Click, click, click.
That's
So
weird
like
stuff. I like that.
yeah, so like that Christmas song where it's like up on the rooftop, click, click, click. It's because their tendon is
I
making the
never put
clicky
that together.
noise. Yeah, it's
Nice.
not the tapping of the roof, it's their hooves. Click, click, click from the tendon.
Yeah, I always assume it was tapping on the roof. So actually, this time it was Eskimo Libertarian giving us a Nat Geo segment here at Muddy Waters.
It's
So,
wholesome. Wholesome Nat
what a
Geo.
wholesome Nat Geo. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I'll never live that down. It's all good.
Yeah, it's
I am. I
pretty.
am.
Oh, there was a lot of stuff happening, but I was pretty light on notes today because I don't know. I'm gonna go play this weekend.
We'll play. I
I'm
was light
gonna
on
get
notes
ready and go
because
hunting.
yeah, I was light on notes because it's that every 3 month gig that I have to do, and it's just absolute chaos. I didn't get home till 7. Well, which is if we go live at 8:30 my time, I got home at 7 my time. So at any rate, what else? Oh, we got Mr. No, we don't. I don't think we have Mr. America Bearded Truth this Monday. I think there's a Liberty Roundtable.
Yes. So coming up, Liberty Roundtable on Monday, and then on Tuesday, it's going to be an extra special episode
Muddy Waters
of
of Freedom.
yeah, which I don't think they've announced who's going to be the host. I know who it's going to be.
Oh, we know who it's going to be. The poll is just a bloodbath. I I really did get excited. And I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. As soon as I saw them as an option, I was like, this is going to be not close. And then I opened the results, and it was just, yeah, it was.
Yeah. So it'll be an extra special episode on Tuesday. Tune in for that. And then on Wednesday, it's going to be uh My Fellow Americans, maybe. We'll see.
Right.
I don't
Always a
so
maybe
Spike
with it.
is yeah, Spike's in New York for like this college tour. So that's kind of like the issue that they're running into. He's going to
Right.
all these different events. And so tune in and we'll see if something happens next week, Wednesday. Next week, Thursday is Veterans Day, and Matt Wright will have a show with his guest is going to be Paul Robbins because
Oh,
it'll
nice.
be Veterans Day. And the day before that, on Wednesday, is the Marine's birthday. So we needed a Marine libertarian,
That's
Paul
awesome.
Robbins.
Paul's a
Yeah,
great guy.
so he'll be on. And then right back here with us on Friday again.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll be in that. I'll be at the South Carolina
Oh, I
convention.
didn't know you were going to that.
Yeah,
Nice.
LPSC. Probably sleeping on Jason's floor because we can't afford a hotel room, but it's all good.
Quality.
Yeah, we might be
Nice.
sleeping right next to Matt and Sarah on the floor. Who knows? I'll make sure
I'll
Matt's
be
on the
up
same side
here.
as me so I can cuddle with him.
You can
I'm just
rub your
kidding.
beard.
Yeah, for good luck.
Yeah, you're all gonna be over there. I'll just be up here, like, hey guys.
Yeah, but you do have the snow, so whenever you do make it down here to the lower 48 with the rest of us, leave it up there,
All
please.
28 feet.
Yeah, that's terrible. So, I mean, it's really interesting to talk about and hear about, and I'm gonna have to go look at some pictures and all that because that's really cool. But, well, I guess really cool. That's kind of punny. But I want it to stay way, 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 way away from me. Where is the stupid? There it is. Time for 52 anchor call and wheel in moment, where we wheel in your calls like Thomas Daniel Queter is going to wheel into the New York State Senate. Tomfor52.com, TOMFOR52.com. With that being said, let me get to our, what I believe is one and only anchor call in or anchor wheel in moment. We haven't done one of these in a while, so
Oh,
yep, and it is from Michelle Goodwin.
thanks, Michelle.
Great, yeah, great wheel in call. That was my bad. I don't know why, but the stupid Bluetooth won't seal itself closed. So even though it's clear across the room, it still acts like it's hooked to Bluetooth. Try this again.
Good evening, Eskimo and Cajun. This is Michelle Goodwin in Alaska calling for this anchor wheel in moment with Tomfor52.com. I would like to know what your thoughts are on a few questions in regards to the OSHA release this week. Number one is, how are the reactions? Do you think that they are different in different parts of the country, since you're in such different parts of the country? Also, do you feel that it's released as a distraction to get us to focus on something other than other failed issues in the administration right now? And lastly is, do you think it was really Biden's idea or somebody else put it in his head? And if so, who do you think that is? Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you, Michelle. That is a fantastic wheel in call moment for
Yeah.
sure.
So I don't work in an organized setting. So when it comes to like the overall impression of OSHA and their what they've released and stuff, I have no idea like how people are reacting and stuff. I can imagine up here in Alaska, they're just like, "What? It's snowing. I can't hear you."
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel?
Well, our demographic politically is going to be very similar. So I don't think there's going to be much of a difference when it comes in attitude towards the mandate because it's a very more traditionally liberty-minded conservative demographic that you have in Alaska, same as that I have right here. And everybody's pissed off. Nobody wants this. It doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter what you do. The vast majority of people here don't want this and they desperately want everyone else to get back to the life that we have been living here for months, which is no mask. If you want to wear your mask, wear your mask. But no, I haven't walked in a business and I cannot tell you how long. Matter of fact, I don't know that I've ever walked into one and they made you put it on. Because even when there was still a state mask and county and everything else mask mandate around here, I was going in stores without them. And yeah, everybody else is wearing one, but nobody says anything to you about it. That's why you see all these viral videos are all women, because they don't have the balls to actually attack somebody who may punch them in the mouth. That's why when you see all those viral videos, it's men, well, men attacking women over no mask. That doesn't happen down here. Hasn't ever. I will say that the second part of her question was absolutely phenomenal. And I'm super surprised that I haven't thought about it, because this is something that I'm heavy handed on. And she said, is the release of the OSHA regs maybe a distraction from something else that they're trying to do?
I honestly don't think our federal government is coordinated enough to do stuff like that. So like there are times where it may seem like they're throwing a red herring out there and like don't look at this, look at that instead. But there seems to be too many
Spider-Man.
players. They're not intelligent enough to be doing this on purpose, I feel. I mean, if you think about who all is involved, and I certainly don't think it's Biden's idea. I I
Yeah,
mean, we're talking about someone that sharded in front of the Pope. That poor.
at best. At best, I
I
hope
would
it's
have sympathy for him, because he's
allegedly.
older and everything. But with everything going on, I have no sympathy. But I don't
Nice.
think it was his idea, and I don't believe that our federal government is coordinated enough to be pulling off red herrings like
No,
this.
I don't know about when this large, right? Like we've seen institutions do this. Like when we were all focused on Afghanistan, the CDC changed the definition of what a vaccine was. This is something that's just so large. I don't know. I would say if there were a possibility, it could possibly be what they're doing tonight and trying to pass the infrastructure bill. But wow, Congress is a wreck. Joe Manchin right now is the most powerful person on the planet. And it really doesn't, they can't, what's the point in hiding that? Because we're not their problem for that one. That's Joe Manchin. That's their
Yeah,
problem. So,
I feel like some people feel the need that they have to do something. It's almost like you have to turn in an assignment and just get a grade at this point. That's kind of
right.
like almost the mentality with a lot of these things. It's like we have to show that we're doing something. We can't show that we're doing nothing. That's their mentality. It's like, no, you really could just not do anything.
It'd be the better course of
We're
action.
okay with you not doing anything about
Yeah.
this. But people feel like I'm elected to this position. I need to solve the problem. I need to put something out there. And so I think that's more of the drive to put something out, not to cover up something else.
Yeah. I would, I'm going to keep it in mind that she's got me turning. And yeah, usually in this case they could pull this off, but you usually get stuff like this on a late Friday evening when they don't want you to hear about it, and they understand that there's not a combative news cycle again until Monday. So in this case, it would be all of the conservative talking heads. They're not going to be back in office until Monday morning. When it was Trump, they did the same thing. They did crap on late Friday night, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning before the left wing media could show back up to the office on Monday. I mean, that's just the game that they play, and it's actually a smart game. It's one that's well done. We do this in as bosses and at our jobs, right? When I want to give bad news to an employee, I do that late on a Friday because it's not going to be as bad. Because then they go home. Well, I'm going home for the weekend. I give good news. It's going to be more at a time where morale may dip, like on a Wednesday morning. Hump day, hump day. Bike. Anyway, yeah, that's an actual psychological thing that they're using that to. I don't know. I do
Thanks,
think that
Michelle.
yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Fantastic anchor calling moment, anchor wheeling moment. God, I'm gonna get it right. We'll see. As far as OSHA is concerned, OSHA doesn't have the capacity for the practical application of this. This what they're asking is quite literally impossible. You would have to. Okay, it's the same thing with the let's monitor everybody's $600 transactions. Okay, but the issue with that is Biden had a plan in place to like triple the size of the IRS just to be able to cover that. Because if you tried to monitor $600 bank account movings on everybody, they would shut the IRS. They would just shut them down. So he's trying to triple them. And then they changed, I don't know how many I'll cut this, but they changed the language. There's not $600 a month anymore. It's $10,000, but only a year, which is far less money than $600 a month. It's 10 grand a year, but it sounds better because they like to not put the year part in there. But yeah, so again, but they don't have the capacity that they don't have the footprint to be able to do that. And OSHA doesn't have the capacity to do this right now. This is such a mess. And it's already I know Daily Wire for a fact is already what is it, Sixth Circuit Court maybe. Please don't quote me, I can't remember, but they are already suing. Litigations coming from I think 40 different state attorney generals. I know Mississippi's is. I imagine Alaska's is.
Yes.
Look, I don't see any possible way. But with that being said, that kind of makes more sense as to why maybe it is a sleight of hand and they're trying to do something else. But this is the thing, though. This is like the worst thing that if you go, and I'm going to try to comb through the 490 pages over the weekend as much as I can and extract what I can out of there. This is one of the most frightening pieces of legislation since the Patriot Act. Well, for sure. It may be worse than the Patriot Act because it's just so in our face. That's kind of the worst part of the Patriot Act. It's very not. That's behind our back. So anyway, I don't think this is going to be able to. I just don't see any possible way. I think what they're really relying on, quite honestly, is just people just obeying like the mindless sheep that we've seen for the last 19 months. Oh, well, he said to do it, so I have to do it. Why? Why?
Yeah. Not enough people asking why.
Yep. I did read an article that over in Australia, they're now starting to, they're going to, you're up, potentially you could have your home seized and your bank accounts frozen and maybe even serve time in jail for not paying COVID fines. And quite honestly, that seems like a play to me to get people set up for fear over here when he put this mandate in place, because it's not realistic at either. It's not realistic. We're also not Australia. We have 350 million people.
We'll see.
So we shall see. Ugh, it's all of a mess, but we are winning, even if it's just little bitty tiny wins at a time. Progress is still progress. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. And that's all I have to say.
Perfect. Me too.
Other than goat yoga, brought to you by Brian Scott Lambert. Other than that, this is the Cajun and Eskimo show.
Advocating for a freer world.
From Bayous
to Iglus.
See ya.
Good night, folks.